Welcome back to the channel for another daily race lap guide. This is your go-to series where I break down corner by corner one of the fastest times from one of the fastest drivers on the global leaderboard, so you don't have to. It's a new week, which means we have some new daily races to get stuck into, and for this lap guide we are heading to Deep Forest in Switzerland for daily race B. Join me as I take us through all the essential information you need to know, along with some tips to help you start as high up the grid as possible. If you're planning on competing this week, stay tuned. You do not want to miss this. Let's dive straight in. We'll start with the race information. Here we have 6 laps, 16 cars in the race with a rolling start, fuel consumption rate is set to ×1, tyre wear rate is set to ×1. The regulations are, we have one usable dry tyre and that is the racing medium. The intermediate and wet tyres are also available. Car category for this race is Group 3. Wide body, nitrous or overtake are prohibited. Under car restrictions we have BOP is set to mid-speed. Car settings, adjustable brake balance only. For race settings, DR and SR are both affected. There is light mechanical damage. Minimum number of pit stops is set to none, track limits are set to normal, and finally penalty settings, shortcut penalty is set to weak, there is no wall collision penalty, colliding with other cars is penalised, and cutting the pit lane line on entry or exit attracts a penalty. Today's lap we are going to be looking at is at the time of this recording the top time on the global leaderboard of a 1 minute 26.095. completed in the Audi R8 LMS Evo 2019. Now, with all the formalities out of the way, let's get out on track. Actually, before we start, I've had a few requests to include the lap in real time with no commentary or stops, so after the guide, stick around for a bonnet and bumper cam replay of this insanely fast lap. Chapter markers are in the description, so feel free to skip around to whichever section you're most interested in. Right, let's get back to business. Turn 1, Deep Forest. Our first brake marker here is the 100 board. When you're around a car's length ahead of this, you're going to brake. You can use the fence post on the right hand side. I've just highlighted it here for a reference point, so it's basically the one before the 100 board. A little bit further ahead, there's a 50 board. As you approach that, you want to start to turn in for the first corner. And we're going to shift all the way down to first gear. We're going to keep tight to the curb on the inside. We've got 2 acceleration markers for you here. So the bush on the hill right in front of you in the clearing there. Once that goes past the center of your car, you're going to start to accelerate. Or if you prefer, the spectator stand on the right hand side, where you can see 3 sets of stairs there. When the middle set of stairs leaves the edge of your screen on the right hand side, you're going to start to accelerate. Shifting up to second gear and being gentle on the throttle to start with, we can use some space on the right hand side, and just up ahead here there's a gap in the barrier. Once we reach that gap, we want to start to turn across to the left hand side, and at the top of the hill the curb angles in towards the left. We want to make sure we're following this line into the next corner. Now this next section is all about carrying speed, and you can make up a lot of time if you get it right. So on the inside of the curb on the left there's a little bit of green rubber. You want to make sure your left hand wheels are making contact with that. A bit further ahead of that there is a fence that starts on the left hand side. Once you reach that, we're going to start to turn into the right. We're going to be really aggressive with this first corner. And as we leave the curb, we're going to shift up to 4th gear briefly before shifting down to 3rd again. We're going to dab on the brakes, and just as we come across the curb, we're going to give it a little bit of power just to maintain the speed. And when I said aggressive, this is what I meant. Our right hand wheel's completely in the grass. Our left hand wheels are all over the curb, across the white line. We just want to make this as straight as possible as we go through to the next left-hander. And as we come across the curb, we're going to look to the right where there's a tree. Once that reaches the edge of the screen, you're going to dab the brakes just to keep the car under control here. A little bit further ahead where the grass turns to concrete, we're going to want to make sure we're turning into the left-hander here. We're going to be quite aggressive on this as well. We're aiming for those little speed bumps. And we're going to shift down to 2nd gear, and as you can see here, left hand wheels on the concrete, right hand wheels all the way up against the white line. We are aiming for the speed bumps, but just be careful. If you are too aggressive on them, they can unsettle the car and you'll end up spinning out to the left. Now just a little bit further ahead, the last speed bump, we just want to apply a little bit of power here, again just to maintain speed as we go through. And as we reach the end of the curb, we want to turn into the right-hander, and where the concrete turns to grass, once that reaches the edge of your screen on the left, you're going to start to brake. We want to again be quite aggressive on this right-hander as we shift down to first gear, and we've got 3 acceleration markers for you here. So where you can see 3 turn-in markers on the wall in front of you, once the third one hits the edge of your screen, you're going to start to accelerate. Or if you prefer, there's a big tree dead ahead. Once that hits the center of your car, you can accelerate. And further around to the right, where you can see the opening of the tunnel, once you can start to see the Deep Forest sign above the tunnel, you can start to accelerate gently to start with, shifting up to second gear. And we're going to use all the space on the left-hand side, and the end of the curb as it angles into the right-hander here, that is our turn-in marker. Just after you've cleared this curb, you're going to brake. It's really important to stay tight to the inside of this corner just to aid on the exit as you go under the next tunnel. Shifting down to first gear temporarily just to aid with some rotation. Similar to the last corner, you can see some turn markers on the left-hand wall. Once you can see 4 of those and that 4th marker gets to the edge of your screen, you can start to accelerate. Or once you can start to see the opening of the tunnel a little bit further around the corner there, you can start to accelerate. We want to be gentle on the throttle here. We want to try and keep the center of our car on the white line as we go round. Just before we get back onto full power, we're going to allow the car to drift across to the left-hand side as we go under the tunnel. We're going to use that green concrete on the left to maintain as much speed as possible. Just being careful that your right-hand wheels don't cross that white line, because it will be a track penalty. The line we want to take here is towards that far bollard. We're going to brake and turn once we reach the end of the curb. We're going to allow the car to coast across to the left-hand side. We want to get our left-hand wheels on the green rubber on the inside of the curb here. And our acceleration marker is the BBS sign. Once that reaches the edge of your screen on the left-hand side, you're going to start to accelerate. Use as much space out on the right-hand side as possible without hitting the wall. So we'll just be gentle to start with on the throttle. And the way you can see that the track turns from dark to light. Just as you cross that line, you want to start to brake. And on the other side of the bridge, there's a yellow painted piece of Armco barrier. That is our turn-in marker. Shifting down to first gear, and it's really important to get a good exit out of this corner because there is a big straight and a hill coming up. So we want to stay tight to the inside curb and want to use all the space out on the right-hand side that we can. We've got 2 acceleration markers. We've got the last turn-in sign on the right-hand side. Once that reaches the edge of your screen, you can start to accelerate. Or where the fence immediately in front of you changes from a wood to a metal netting. Once that hits the center of your car, you can start to accelerate. Shifting up to second gear as we get back on the power, and you can see here our right side wheels are completely on the green concrete. Our left side wheels are all the way up against the edge of the red and white curb. We just want to be careful as we zoom in that we don't get our left wheels on the green concrete, because that will result in a penalty. However, if we do this right, we're going to get all of the speed all the way up the hill, all the way down to the hairpin. Where we make our way down to the last braking zone of this lap, and the brake marker for here is the structure on the right hand side. Just as you go past this, you can brake, or if you prefer, when you go under the Gran Turismo banner, you can start to brake. And we've got 2 turn-in markers for you here. So the 50 board on the right-hand side, once you've gone past that, you can start to turn in, or just a little bit further ahead where you can see the green concrete and the grey concrete start to separate. As you reach that, you can turn in. And we're going to shift all the way down to first gear to get as much rotation as possible. And our last acceleration marker here is a spectator stand right in front of you. Once you can see all of the left side of that and it becomes visible, you can start to accelerate. We're going to exit this corner in first gear. And as before, we're going to use all the space on the right hand side, but just make sure we keep our left wheels on the red and white curb to avoid a penalty. And we're going to stay tight to the curb on the right here. And as we go past these 2 bollards, we're going to drift the car across to the left, go across the line and straddle it. Just don't let your right wheels go over that line. Stay tight to the wall on the left for the shortest run to the line. Congratulate yourself as you've just done a lap of Deep Forest Raceway in 1 minute 26.095. Now, as promised at the start, here are the commentary-free laps for you to enjoy. We'll start with the bumper cam and end with the bonnet cam. I'm off for a break now, and to leave you all in peace, don't forget the chapter markers in the description if you want to skip ahead. I'll see you after the replays. And there we are, that is this week's lap guide for Daily Race B completed. Let me know in the comments if this has helped you out, and feel free to drop by during the week to let me know how you're getting on. Have fun and race well. It would be great if you could consider subscribing to the channel so you never miss another lap guide. And why not drop into one of our Gran Turismo live streams? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.